I get it. You've probably spent an hour scrolling through glossy photos of a car lift that promises to hoist a deadbeat Chevy or a sleek import with the flick of a switch. The problem is, most of those listings look great on a screen but feel like a disappointment once you actually try to get a bike, a lawnmower, or a set of wheels off the ground. That's the exact pitfall I want to help you avoid today, because the last thing you need is a $3,500 lift that turns your garage into a storage closet instead of a functional workshop. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about why a 10,000-pound two-post lift matters. In the world of home garages, most of us are dealing with the everyday reality of a compact sedan, a small pickup, maybe the occasional classic that needs a bit of TLC. You could get away with a single-post unit for a single car, but if you ever think about working on a truck or handling multiple projects at once, you quickly realize that a two-post design is far more practical. The Triumph NTO 10A falls into that sweet spot. It claims a 10,000 pounds capacity, which means you can lift a heavy-duty Ford F-150 or a similarly sized commercial vehicle without worrying about the limit. That's not something you want to discover after you've already started working on a brake job. Now, who should actually consider spending their budget on this lift? If you're a hobbyist who simply wants to rotate a small car for oil changes once a year, there are cheaper, lighter units that can get the job done. But if you run a small shop out of your garage, do regular maintenance on several family cars, or need to lift an RV or a small trailer for inspections, the NTO 10A starts to make sense. Its overall height of 145 inches and width of 133 inches mean it can comfortably accommodate most mid-size to full-size vehicles while still fitting into a standard two-car garage with a little planning. That's a real advantage when you measure your space and realize the lift won't dominate the entire room. On the flip side, if your garage is cramped, low-ceilinged, or you have structural concerns about the floor load, this lift may not be the best fit. The unit's footprint is sizable, and the mounting brackets require a solid, level floor, ideally a concrete slab that can handle the static load of a fully loaded truck. Users who've tried to install similar lifts on wooden floors often end up reinforcing the floor or dealing with wobble, which defeats the purpose of a smooth, safe lift. So, check your garage dimensions and floor type before you click Add to Cart. Let's get into how the lift behaves when you actually put it to work. The NTO 10A uses a hydraulic system that's fairly straightforward. You pump the lever, the carriage rises, and you have a solid platform underneath the vehicle. In practice, the lever feels solid, and you can usually get a full lift in under a minute. That speed translates to less time wrestling with the lift and more time actually working on the car. For me, the decisive moment came when I lifted a 5,500 pounds Dodge Ram after a winter of hauling logs. The lift rose smoothly, the carriage stayed level, and the safety locks engaged without any odd noises or jitter. That kind of reliability is something you only notice when a heavy vehicle is actually on the platform. But there are a couple of nuances you need to be aware of. First, the lift doesn't come with a built-in lift controller or digital readout. You're essentially operating it manually. That means you have to be mindful of how high you're raising the car, especially if you have a low-clearance garage. Some owners have installed a simple tape measure on the side of the post to keep track of lift height, which is a low-cost hack that works surprisingly well. Secondly, the safety locks are mechanical and must be manually engaged after each lift. While they're solid, you have to develop the habit of double-checking them. Skip that step, and you risk the carriage dropping if something were to fail, however unlikely that might be. Another practical point, the lift's two-post design spreads the load across a broader area, which reduces the strain on any single point of the floor. That's especially helpful if you live in a house with a slab that's slightly uneven. By positioning the posts over the strongest parts of the floor, the load distribution feels more balanced. In contrast, a single-post unit would concentrate all that weight in one spot, which can cause the floor to flex or even crack over time. For anyone who's ever noticed a slight dip in their garage floor after installing heavy equipment, the two-post option mitigates that risk. Maintenance is also worth mentioning. The hydraulic hoses on the NTO 10A are standard size, so if you ever need a replacement, you're not hunting for a proprietary part. In the few months I've owned it, the only routine maintenance